Hey, good morning. Again, I'm a few minutes late getting us started. If you wanted one of these lesson books, I've got 3 more left. They're $20 each. I have them on the front. But if that's something that you want, as far as paying for them, you can just write a check out to the church. Oh, you want one? I'll bring you one right back. I will just make the check out to the church for $20 and put in the for column that it's for auditorium class book. And that's how we'll deal with it. I just don't want to deal with anybody's money. What happens, I'll find it in my pocket in December, and I'll say, look, I found some money. No, don't do that. I am just that spacey, and I will reference that in my sermon this morning. That's what my lesson's on, is forgetfulness. Yeah. So, all right, we're in chapter 4. It's lesson 37, and I'll bring it right to you. I'll bring it right to you here in a second. I wanted. Let's see where we. I found something. I thought it was. Let's see if it's in the back. Wow. All right, I will get the answer to this question, or you don't even know what the question is. I'll tell you what I was going to tell you after the video. Again, it's going to be about 30 minutes this morning. We're looking at number 4, does God exist? The origin of life. 2 or 3 questions. First of all, does truth exist? Yes, it does. And that was his first lesson. Secondly, does God exist? Yes. 2 arguments for the existence of God. Number 1 is what? Cosmological argument. Basically, the whole idea that everything has to have a cause. What is the second argument for the existence of God? It's the teleological argument. And that means that well, my mind just went blank with it. Design demands a designer. The teleological argument is design demands a designer. Last week we saw that in regard to the universe itself. This week we're going to see that in regard to life. Now that is the introduction, basically, to this morning's. Basically, the idea is if there is no God, there was one point that non-life became life, is basically what it is. And he goes on in the lesson to talk about the complexity of life, especially when it gets to the point of DNA. Interesting, Bill Gates, when he was talking about DNA is more complicated than any human program, that was, did you notice the word that he uses? Created. Now, he would be the first to tell you that Microsoft did not just spring into being, but that it was created. So if DNA is much more complicated than that, the chances of it simply springing into being is a really it's a really big stretch. And remember, in all of this, his argument is, I don't have enough faith to be an atheist. He says it takes more faith to believe that DNA of any form just sprang into being than it does that there was actually a creator. He mentioned in the very beginning of this particular thing the principle of uniformity. That if something hasn't happened, most likely it's not going to happen without some definite cause. Now, the atheists use that same argument and they turn it around us when it comes to miracles. When it says, a miracle is a suspension of natural laws. But remember what we said 2 weeks ago about the universe? The main, and he even said something at the very beginning of the lesson, that science does not teach us anything scientists do. Science is a process that is based on certain assumptions. And remember, a couple of weeks ago, we had that illustration of the box, an opened versus closed box. Science presupposes the universe is closed, that it only operates within by its own natural laws. We believe the universe is open. In other words, the lid is off the shoebox, and that there is a first cause, there is a being, there is a God who can somehow interact with his creation. And therefore, that was the result of its beginning, and that is why it is being sustained even today. The one thing I was going to tell you before this, if you've got the big book, there is, this is chapter 4 in the workbook. It is chapter 5 in the big book. So if you have the big book and you want to read more, it's chapter 5 in the big book. Many of you already have books, either what you purchased today or what you were able to have from previous studies. The chapters are always going to correspond to what you see on the screen. So lesson 4 is going to be chapter 4 in the book. But the big book is a little different. It was not necessarily written just for this study. So you'll, if you want to read along, you get more information there. I do recommend the article that he told you about. Yes, go ahead.
By the big book, you mean the
yes. Book? Oh. The thicker of the big book. Now, I don't know. That book is? I don't have enough faith to be an atheist.
That's right.
Is it the workbook that goes along with the bigger book?
I don't know. There's the workbook that you...
All right, there's a book that's about that thick.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah, and that was this. He probably meant that to be a study. Here's what's confusing about this. Geisler and Turek wrote the big book. Geisler wrote a companion to the big book. That probably is what you have there, although I can't...
This is Geisler and Turek.
All right, then that is what I'm calling the big book then. Okay. It's chapter... this book, this lesson 4 is chapter 5.
That's right.
And next week we'll be in lesson 5 is chapter 6 in that book. Okay. All right, so without going into any more explanation, that should be it. Our time certainly has expired. Do you have a question, though, about this? Maybe something that was not made clear about what he said? Yes, sir.
There's one thing that, about the chicken and egg.
Mm-hmm.
DNA, it produces protein.
Mm-hmm.
Well, DNA is made up of protein.
Mm-hmm.
Which one came first?
Yeah. Well, I love the idea of just the chicken or the egg. I mean, something had to lay the egg, right? There you go. So everything presupposes something else. And if you follow that farther back, you come to an intelligent cause. The only other option is that there is a non-intelligent cause, chance, let's say. And if you go all the way to the fact that there is chance, it's more reasonable to believe that there is an intelligent force behind it. He even uses it. What is it? Mind over matter. I believe every time the alphabet is definitely proof. A message with alphabets, it can't be an accident. Mount Rushmore wasn't caused by by erosion and wind. You know, it demands a designer. And that, again, is a teleological argument. Next week, you'll be talking about evolution. I'm interested to hear what he has to say about evolution. Could you do me a favor, Bill? Look on the front of your book. Does it say Boyer? Not that book. Yeah. Does it say Boyer on it? On the front?